Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a video on my YouTube channel. I just recently got reports that Chris Paul has been traded to the Phoenix Suns. I don't know what for yet. I am waiting for the article to pop up. I saw a notification on ESPN, and I figured I'd come here and just talk about it. I want to do stuff like this too, along with the podcast that I have with Zach. I want to do sit down videos where I just if a trade goes through, like I'll probably end up talking about the Dennis Schroder trade also in this video. Um, but in the podcast, actually, Zach and I talked about the possibility of Chris Paul going to Phoenix, and I personally think it is the best place for Chris Paul. Maybe not. Obviously, I think it'd be tough for them to. I don't think it puts them over the Lakers or over the Clippers or even probably over the Nuggets. But we'll see what they do in free agency because they have a big three now. Because I think the supporting cast in Phoenix is a lot better than the supporting cast he had in OKC. I mean, Devin Booker he's lights out. He's a top notch shooter. He's one of the best just scorers in the NBA. We saw it in the bubble how they went 8-0. The way I look at Chris Paul is he's a if we're gonna compare him to a Ricky Rubio, which I know we shouldn't do, but the past Phoenix Suns point guards, they never had a good point guard to put next to Devin Booker. There was even a couple rumors that when Devin Booker was going to run point guard, and he did. I actually just got the article on my phone right now where they traded away Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen McHugh, and a 2022 first-round pick. Now, my guess is OKC is probably going to take those players and just flip them for picks and picks and picks because they have no reasoning to have pretty much any of those players. Especially not Ricky Rubio's $17 million contract. Kelly Oubre is going to be. I figured he was going to get traded off that team because in the bubble, the Phoenix Suns look very, very good with their wing players being Mikal Bridges at the 3 and Cam Johnson at the 4. I like Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton. They're just very, very different players. Cam Johnson's a 3 and kind of D kind of player, but DeAndre Ayton's just that hard-nosed center that every team would want. And I'm also a huge believer in DeAndre Ayton, and I think he's going to turn out to be a top 5 center in a good 3 or 4 years. And I think Chris Paul is just going to elevate this team to a top 5 or 6 seed in the Western Conference next year. I think this puts them over a team like Utah. I mean, they were right there to get into the playoffs. Sorry, I'm kind of just ranting, so I'm trying to remember everything I said. But they were right there. They were like 1 or 2 games out of getting into the playoffs, and I think they probably could have taken the Lakers to 5. I mean, maybe, who knows? But the way Devin Booker was playing, I mean, this is the best move for the Phoenix Suns. Now, before I clicked record, I was kind of thinking of what they could now do at the 10th pick because they still have that 10th pick, and I say draft a point guard. I don't see why they wouldn't still go and draft a point guard. Maybe someone like a Cole Anthony or a Killian Hayes, and just develop them under Chris Paul. Chris Paul is one of the best player developers in the NBA. I mean, he goes to a team, he leads them, and they win games. No, the OKC Thunder had a 2% chance of making the playoffs last year, and they were the 4 seed and took the Rockets, who people had possibly being finals contenders. We all know that that's getting blown up now, but they took them to 7, and I thought they were going to win that series. My Zach and I actually had a bet on that series, and I had OKC in 7, he had Houston in 7, so he luckily pulled that one out. But under Monty Williams, I think this is the perfect move for Phoenix. No one else really had the ability to take on Chris Paul's contract because he'll probably be there for the next 2 years. I don't really see them trading him if it doesn't work out because I don't think they can financially make it work with any other team. Devin Booker's needed that point guard his whole career. There were a lot of rumors saying he's going to get traded to the Timberwolves, get traded to a team with a high draft pick because he wanted out because he wasn't winning. I mean, that's it. He was putting up these incredible numbers. He's put up 70 in a game. He put up 25 points per game over the past 3 years, but it wasn't translating to winning. Now you have one of the most winning basketball players on your team running point guard next to them. That guard combo is deadly. I mean, you have the mid-range playmaking king in Chris Paul, who I think is a top 6-7 point guard of all time. Obviously, he's way out of his prime, but he still put up great numbers last year. I think him and DeAndre Ayton in the pick and roll. I think DeAndre Ayton's pretty much just a better version of Steven Adams right now. I love the fit. I think this puts them in contention for a 4 or 5 seed, right where OKC is. But OKC's looking to rebuild as the Phoenix Suns have done their rebuilding. They've done their drafting. They drafted 4 good, or they didn't draft Mikal Bridges, but they drafted 4 solid players who are now their starting 4 alongside Chris Paul. And I just think it was the best situation. If you wanted to keep Devin Booker around and prove to him that you wanted to do a winning season, I don't see a better move than this. Yeah, I'm trying to with the 10th pick. I'd once again say Cole Anthony, Killian Hayes, maybe a power forward if someone slides in the draft. I'm trying to think of the top power forwards. Obi Toppin probably won't be there, and I don't think they have the assets now to trade up. But let's see what they do in free agency. They probably won't have much money because Devin Booker's on that big contract as he should be. Chris Paul's on the massive contract as he probably shouldn't be. Um, I mean, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges still on their rookie deals. So is DeAndre Ayton. So maybe they have a mid-level exception where they're able to sign a power forward to replace Dario Saric because I don't think he's ever been the answer for a team at power forward. But 8-0 in the bubble with Ricky Rubio, they could be a high 40s, low 50s win team next year. And once again in contention, I'll take them over Utah. Utah's a good team. I'll take them over Portland. Probably take them over the Pelicans now because I just don't see how unless Zion takes that another leap and it can stay healthy and Lonzo can maybe turn his offensive game around. I see them probably being a 5 or 6 seed in the West next year. And so no, I love this move for Phoenix. I hope it works out. I really do. I've been following Phoenix for a couple years. When they drafted DeAndre and I really really like the fit. Unfortunately, yeah, they could have Luca. I also don't know how Luca and Devin Booker would have worked out together. I think they made the right selection. Looking back, obviously you take Luca because he's a once in a generation type player, but I don't think DeAndre Ayton's like a bust kind of player. I think he's just a. I could see him averaging 20 and 10 in 2 or 3 years and going into his prime and being a 22 and 12 kind of guy. I think that's his ceiling, but hopefully he could just be a good rim protector, lob catcher, good pick and roller for Chris Paul. Devin Booker now can play more off ball, which we saw. He's a great catch and shoot. I mean, he's 50, 40, 90 contention guy. I just think the Phoenix Suns are they're gonna be a fun team to watch next year, definitely. And yeah, so it's Monday now. It's actually only it's 125. Um, so that trade just went through, and then yesterday we got the report that Dennis Schroder was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Danny Green in the 28th pick, I believe. And for me, I don't understand why the Thunder did this trade. Danny Green, there's probably not going to be another team that wants to flip, that wants like a pick, that will trade a pick for Danny Green. I mean, if they can get like a second, maybe, but like, I don't know who would want to take on that $50 million in cap space for an 8 points per game. He didn't do well in the playoffs. We all watched that. And so, no, I think it's an incredible trade for the Lakers. I said it, I'm a big Dennis Schroder fan. I think he was extremely robbed of Sixth Man of the Year this year. He played incredible. He averaged like 19 points per game with coming off the bench for Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who are two better players than him, obviously. But for the cap space that the Lakers had, I think this is the best fit for the Lakers. I mean, I don't think they could have gone better. I mean, I think it was probably a toss up between Derrick Rose and Dennis Schroder for the organization. I see why they went Dennis Schroder. He's a little younger. Maybe he'll stay around with Anthony Davis when LeBron ends up retiring. Who knows though? And so I love the fit for the Thunder. I get getting the 28th overall pick, but I think if they waited a little bit longer, they probably could have gotten a couple more future assets, maybe even like a younger player and a first round pick, or even a second maybe thrown in. I don't know. I saw the rumors of I knew Dennis Schroeder was going to get traded. The Thunder are blowing it up. The Houston Rockets are blowing it up. It's pretty funny to me. Um, but I don't get the whole Danny Green in the 28th pick. I feel like they could have gotten such a better package for a player at Dennis Schroeder's he's a good player. And so I think the Lakers really got to steal there because they're probably going to lose Rondo. They're probably going to lose KCP. Might lose Dwight. I feel like Dwight wants to stay though. They're going to lose a couple of those core guard play, and obviously they'll have Caruso still a shooting guard. They'll probably sign a couple of weird mid-level exception or like 1.67 mil contract guys that will come in and play finals minutes somehow and play well, and then they'll sign a 2-year, $16 million contract for the Pistons and never do anything for the rest of their career. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the Chris Paul trade mainly. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Chris Paul is now going to get a ring unless they make a crazy, crazy move in free agency and possibly in the draft, and they get a Donovan Mitchell type player right out of the draft and at the 10th pick instead of 13 or something like that. I doubt that. It's just this. It doesn't seem like it has that unless like an Oneka Okongwu could fall to them, which I'd be shocked. I think he's going to go to Charlotte at 3. Um, but it's just a really really good fit at Chris Paul and Phoenix. Finally turns it's going to turn their franchise around, make them a winning franchise again, hopefully. Which I mean, Phoenix hasn't been that since for so long now. I mean, Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire was the last time that they really really wanted to win and were in contention for anything. And so now Phoenix, at least for Phoenix fans, you guys are moving in the right direction. You're not sitting back and saying, shoot, are we going to trade Devin Booker because we're not winning, so he wants out. Um, what's going to happen to DeAndre Ayton? I think this is going to further DeAndre Ayton's game so much. And I mean, we saw in the bubble how things worked out without Kelly Oubre. Yet, I mean, Kelly Oubre will probably be a Thunder next year. He's a good player. He's that high energy guy. He's Kelly Oubre. Everyone knows who he is. And so, I mean, but it worked out when you were starting Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson together. And I think Kelly Oubre is kind of a replaceable player. I mean, like obviously Phoenix will probably be a little upset to get rid of him, but I think Mikal Bridges can make a better jump to be almost like a Robert Covington kind of player. I see that comparison a lot. Cam Johnson's a perfect stretch four. I think obviously if you could find an upgrade and bring Cam Johnson off the bench because it's only his second year and he did struggle in the first half of the season. So if you could bring Cam Johnson off the bench and possibly find a more veteran type power forward, but have Cam Johnson maybe finish games, I really like the direction Phoenix is going in now, and I can't wait to see how they play. I can't wait to see the Chris Paul Devin Booker backcourt. That's going to be such a fun backcourt to watch. There's going to be high energy. It's going to be a fun team. And then yeah, the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about is the whole James Harden situation now on how there's been a couple rumors that he wants to leave Houston and he's really pushing for a Brooklyn Nets trade. And it's scary. I mean, to tell me that you could have Kyrie at the 1, Harden at the 2, Durant at the 3, then probably DeAndre Jordan at the 4, at the 5, and then it doesn't matter who's at the 3 or 4, whichever Durant wants to play, because that team just they have two 30 points per game scorers on any given night and one 25 to 30 points per game scorer in Kyrie Irving. Now, if something like this happens, I really want to see how chemistry works out. I mean, Kyrie's had his chemistry issues in the past. James Harden has never been able to find, a winning team really, besides obviously that Thunder team all the way back. But I mean, people thought that even though Russ and Harden are both ball dominant players, they thought that one of them would give it up. Neither of them would. Kyrie's a very ball dominant player. We saw that on Boston where he didn't want to give up the ball and he ended up leaving. Kemba comes in, was willing to share the ball around, and look what happens. But having 3 All-Stars on a team, you can't go wrong. I mean, that's arguably a better team than the Steph, Clay, and Durant. I mean, obviously, I don't think Harden and Kyrie will have the chemistry that Steph and Clay ever will have. But that's gonna be an incredible team to watch if that happens. Steve Nash coaching it. He's a player's coach. Kevin Durant wanted him. Kevin Durant even said there's not really a head coach on this team. They have so many people in the front office. They have Kyrie. They have Durant. I mean, any one of them can be a kind of coach player on any given night. And so the NBA is going to look very different this offseason. Offseason for me is one of my favorite times of the year. Obviously I'll take playoff basketball over anything, but free agency is huge. I mean, it shapes up the whole season. I mean, everyone thought the Clippers had a lock to the finals this year, and look what happened. So we could say Harden gets traded to them for, Dinwiddie, LeVert, Allen, and a first, which I mean, they're giving up their whole bench. So I'd like to see what they do for the end of their rotation. But I mean, we thought the Clippers, who had a great bench, great starting, and Kawhi Leonard would make it to the finals, and they didn't even make it to the conference finals. So off season's going to be fun. I'm super excited. Whenever there's a trade like this, expect a video from me. I'm going to be recording the podcast with Zach tomorrow, so expect another. Along with talking about the draft, we'll probably mention the Chris Paul thing, and especially when we're talking about the Phoenix Suns at the 10th overall pick. But I can't wait to see what the NBA shapes up to be next year. So that's all I got for you all today, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.